Listen carefully, Netanyahu. I exposed your assassination plot against me. You believed Mossad could kill African leaders quietly while the world stayed blind. You were totally wrong. I intercepted every message. I caught every assassin you sent. I have all the evidence of your murder plan. Now you have one way. Withdraw every Mossad operative from Africa and admit your assassination program publicly, or face me releasing proof that destroys Israel's reputation forever. Your killers are in my custody. The world will know what you tried. Let me explain exactly how I discovered Israel's assassination program targeting African leaders and why your covert operations will never recover from what I'm about to expose. Late evening, my presidential security chief presents urgent classified briefing during emergency midnight meeting. Intelligence intercept captured encrypted communication between Mossad operatives in Ouagadougou discussing permanent solution for the Burkina problem. Communication mentioned my travel schedule, security protocols, and vulnerability windows. Language was coded, but meaning was clear. Israel was planning my assassination. Someone wanted me dead before I could complete dismantling of Israeli operations across Africa. I order immediate counterintelligence operation. Identify every Mossad operative in Burkina Faso. Monitor all Israeli embassy communications. Infiltrate assassination planning networks. Track weapons, shipments, and suspicious movements. I want complete understanding of plot mechanics, timeline, and personnel involved, and I want them caught in the act with irrefutable evidence. Investigation consumes weeks of intensive intelligence work. My teams collaborate with Chinese Ministry of State Security and Russian Foreign Intelligence Service. We discover shocking reality. Israel operates systematic assassination program targeting African leaders who challenge Israeli interests. Program has eliminated 12 African leaders over 2 decades through methods appearing as accidents, illnesses, or internal conflicts. Operations are planned by Mossad's Kidon unit, executed by operatives with diplomatic cover and concealed through sophisticated deception. I'm 13th target because I've destroyed Israeli gold smuggling, mining networks, satellite surveillance, and biolabs. Israel wants me eliminated before I inspire continental resistance. The plot against me is sophisticated and multi-layered. First method, poisoning during state dinner using Mossad operative embedded in presidential kitchen staff. Poison is undetectable compound causing heart attack symptoms. Death appears natural. Second method, staged car accident using remotely controlled vehicle collision on isolated road. Crash appears accidental. Third method, sniper assassination during public event using suppressed rifle from distant position. Shooter escapes in chaos. Fourth method, bomb planted in presidential aircraft timed to explode over remote area. Explosion appears as mechanical failure. Each method provides plausible deniability. Israel maintains distance. Mossad operatives use false identities. Evidence points elsewhere or nowhere. My death looks like tragedy, not assassination. This is how Israel has eliminated 12 African leaders without international consequences. But I have advantage they don't expect. I know they're coming. I let plot develop while documenting everything. I identify all operatives. I track weapons acquisition. I monitor communications. I prepare to catch them attempting assassination with cameras recording, witnesses present, and evidence irrefutable. I'm turning their plot into their exposure. Weeks pass as Mossad activates assassination plan. Operative embedded in presidential security receives final authorization. Poison compound is delivered through Israeli diplomatic pouch. Timeline is set. I'm scheduled to die within days during state dinner with foreign dignitaries. Mossad believes plan is secret. Actually, I'm watching every move. Evening of planned assassination arrives. State dinner proceeds normally on surface. Underground, my counterintelligence team is ready. Presidential kitchen is under complete surveillance. Security staff member identified as Mossad operative David Mizrahi using false identity prepares to add poison to my meal. Cameras capture everything. The moment he adds compound to my plate, security forces arrest him. Poison is secured as evidence. Assassination attempt is stopped and documented completely. I don't announce arrest immediately. I want complete network. Mizrahi is interrogated professionally. He reveals backup plans, additional operatives, and command structure. We arrest 7 more Mossad operatives over next days. We seize communications equipment, weapons caches, and operational documents. We have complete assassination network in custody with overwhelming evidence. Days later, I announce publicly that Israel attempted to assassinate me. Recently, Mossad operative attempted to poison me during state dinner. We caught him in the act. We arrested him and 7 additional operatives. We seized poison, weapons, communications equipment, and operational plans. We have complete evidence that Israel planned my assassination using multiple methods. This wasn't an isolated incident. Israel operates a systematic assassination program that has killed 12 African leaders over 2 decades. We have documentation of previous operations. We have testimony from arrested operatives. We have proof of Israeli state-sponsored murder campaign against African leaders who challenge Israeli interests. I'm releasing all evidence publicly. The world will know what Israel does to African leaders who defend their sovereignty. I release comprehensive documentation, photographs of arrested operatives, video of poison being added to my meal, seized operational plans detailing assassination methods, communications between operatives and Mossad headquarters, testimony from operatives describing previous assassinations, and analysis linking 12 African leader deaths to Israeli operations. Evidence includes operational plan titled Operation Permanent Solution, detailing 4 assassination methods against me with timelines and contingencies. Communications between arrested operatives and Mossad Kidon unit discussing previous successful eliminations of African leaders. Poison compound analysis showing Israeli military research origin. Weapons seized including suppressed sniper rifle, remote-controlled vehicle collision system, and aircraft sabotage explosives. Testimony from operative David Mizrahi describing his role in 3 previous African leader assassinations. Financial records tracing funding from Israeli intelligence budgets to assassination operations. Complete documentation is uploaded to dedicated website with English, French, Arabic, and Swahili translations ensuring continental access. International reaction is explosive. African nations are outraged learning Israel systematically assassinated their leaders. Western nations are embarrassed by Israeli actions but reluctant to condemn publicly. Israel panics, attempting damage control. Israeli response is predictable denial. Prime Minister's office issues statement, Israel categorically denies operating assassination program targeting African leaders. Individuals arrested in Burkina Faso are not Israeli intelligence operatives. Accusations are fabricated propaganda designed to damage Israel's reputation. We demand immediate release of Israeli citizens detained on false charges. I respond with contempt. Israel denies arrested operatives are Mossad despite overwhelming evidence. We have their real identities, their operational communications with Israeli intelligence, their training records from Israeli military facilities, and their testimony describing previous assassinations. Israel's denial is worthless against documented proof. Arrested operatives will face trial for attempted murder and conspiracy. Evidence will be presented publicly. International observers are invited. Israel cannot lie their way out of assassination plot we caught in action and documented completely. Soon after, I address African Union emergency session. 53 heads of state attend. The absent leader is from nation with strongest Israeli ties. I present complete evidence of assassination program. Fellow leaders, Israel attempted to assassinate me recently. We caught them. We have proof. But this isn't about me personally. This is about systematic Israeli campaign eliminating African leaders who challenge their interests. Over 2 decades, Israel assassinated 12 of our colleagues. They died in ways appearing as accidents, heart attacks, or internal conflicts. Actually, they were murdered by Mossad operatives using sophisticated methods, providing plausible deniability. I have evidence linking Israel to each death. I'm presenting this evidence now so we understand the threat we all face. I display documentation on large screens showing 12 cases. President of Guinea-Bissau died in accidental explosion. Evidence shows Israeli operative planted bomb. President of Togo died from heart attack. Evidence shows poison matching compound used against me. President of Gabon died in natural causes. Evidence shows Mossad operative in presidential medical team. President of Malawi died in cardiac arrest. Evidence shows Israeli assassination using undetectable poison. President of Ghana died in throat cancer. Evidence suggests induced illness through biological agent. President of Zimbabwe died in colon cancer. Evidence indicates accelerated disease progression through Israeli medical intervention. President of Ethiopia died in plane crash. Evidence shows aircraft sabotage by Mossad technical team. President of Rwanda died in missile attack. Evidence reveals Israeli weapons provided to assassins. President of Burundi died in heart attack. Evidence shows same poison compound used against me. President of Tanzania died in COVID complications. Evidence suggests Israeli biological agent accelerated illness. President of Ivory Coast died in stroke. Evidence indicates Israeli medical operative induced condition. President of Chad died in battlefield wounds. Evidence shows Israeli operatives coordinated rebel attack. Each case includes operational communications, operative identities, and method documentation. Evidence is comprehensive and damning. I continue my address. 12 African leaders murdered by Israel over 2 decades. I was supposed to be 13th. They failed because we were ready. Now, we must ensure no African leader faces this threat again. I propose African Leaders Protection Initiative, shared intelligence on assassination threats, coordinated security protocols, and collective response to any future attempts. Attack one African leader, face consequences from entire continent. This is how we protect ourselves from Israeli assassination program that has operated with impunity for years. African Union adopts African Leaders Protection Initiative unanimously. All nations commit to intelligence sharing and collective security. Continental consensus recognizes assassination threat requires united response. Within weeks, trials begin for 8 arrested Mossad operatives. Burkina Faso conducts public trial with international observers and full media coverage. Evidence presented includes video of poisoning attempt, operational plans, communications with Mossad headquarters, and testimony describing previous assassinations. Lead operative David Mizrahi testifies, "I'm Mossad Kidon unit member. I've participated in 7 assassination operations over 12 years, including 3 African leaders. Operation against President Traoré was authorized by Mossad director. Methods included poison, staged accident, sniper attack, and aircraft sabotage. We plan to execute within week when he was arrested. I was told eliminating Traoré was necessary because he's destroying Israeli operations across Africa and inspiring other leaders to challenge Israeli interests. Testimony is devastating. Mossad operative confirms on camera that Israel planned my assassination, describes multiple methods, and admits participating in previous African leader murders. Israel cannot dismiss this as fabricated when their own operative confesses publicly. All 8 operatives are convicted of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and terrorism. Sentences range from 35 to 45 years imprisonment. Israeli government protests convictions, but international observers confirm trials were fair with overwhelming evidence. But my investigation reveals deeper layers of Israeli assassination infrastructure beyond individual operatives. I discover that Israel maintains assassination coordination centers in 3 African locations disguised as diplomatic facilities. These centers house Mossad Kidon unit personnel, store weapons and poison compounds, coordinate surveillance of target leaders, and plan assassination operations. Centers operate under diplomatic immunity, preventing local authorities from investigating. This is how Israel has maintained assassination capability across Africa for 2 decades. First center operates an Israeli embassy in Nairobi, Kenya. Facility includes secure communications room connecting to Mossad headquarters, weapons storage disguised as maintenance equipment, poison laboratory disguised as medical clinic, and safe houses for operatives. Center coordinates assassination operations across East Africa. Personnel include 12 Mossad operatives using diplomatic cover. Second center operates an Israeli embassy in Abuja, Nigeria. Similar infrastructure coordinates West African operations. Personnel include 15 Mossad operatives. Facility has been operational for 18 years, conducting surveillance and planning against multiple West African leaders. Third center operates an Israeli embassy in Pretoria, South Africa. Infrastructure coordinates Southern African operations. Personnel include 10 Mossad operatives. Facility maintains extensive files on regional leaders, including travel patterns, security vulnerabilities, and elimination scenarios. I share this intelligence with host nations. Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa are shocked learning Israeli embassies house assassination coordination centers. Each nation demands immediate inspection of Israeli diplomatic facilities. Israel refuses, citing diplomatic immunity. Host nations respond by expelling Israeli diplomats and closing assassination centers. Within weeks, all 3 centers are shut down and Israeli personnel are expelled. Listen carefully, Netanyahu. Remember when you believed Mossad could operate assassination centers in African capitals forever? Remember when you assumed diplomatic immunity protected murder planning facilities? Remember when you thought African leaders would never discover your coordination infrastructure? I shattered every assumption. I identified every center. I exposed every operative. I forced every closure. Your assassination infrastructure collapsed. Your diplomatic cover burned. Your murder network is dust. But assassination program infrastructure extends beyond coordination centers. I discover Israeli assassination training facilities in Africa where Mossad trains local operatives for operations requiring African personnel. These facilities disguise as private security training companies teaching bodyguard and protection skills. Actually, they recruit and train assassins who can operate without raising suspicion as foreigners. First facility operates outside Nairobi training East African recruits. Facility teaches surveillance, weapons handling, poison administration, and assassination techniques. Graduates are deployed against targets throughout region. Facility has trained estimated 340 assassins over 15 years. Second facility operates near Lagos training West African recruits. Similar curriculum produces assassins for regional operations. Facility has trained estimated 280 assassins over 12 years. Third facility operates near Johannesburg training Southern African recruits. Facility has trained estimated 190 assassins over 10 years. Total, 3 training facilities, producing 810 trained assassins deployed across Africa. This explains how Israel conducted so many operations. They weren't just using Israeli operatives. They created an army of African assassins trained by Mossad and deployed against African leaders. I coordinate with host nations to raid these facilities simultaneously. Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa deploy special forces securing facilities, arresting instructors, and seizing training materials. Operations capture 23 Israeli Mossad instructors and 67 African recruits currently in training. We confiscate weapons, poisons, training manuals, and operational records documenting previous assassinations conducted by facility graduates. Training manuals are particularly damning. Documents titled Urban Elimination Techniques, Poison Administration Protocols, and Accident Staging Methods provide step-by-step instructions for assassinating targets while maintaining plausible deniability. Manuals include case studies of successful operations, several matching assassinations of African leaders I've already documented. This proves Israeli training facilities produced assassins who murdered our leaders. I release seized training materials publicly. International media coverage is extensive. Al Jazeera produces documentary, Israel's African Assassination Army, How Mossad Trained 810 Killers. RT investigates, Mossad's murder schools, secret facilities training African assassins. CGTN analyzes, Israeli assassination infrastructure exposed across Africa. African media reports comprehensively on scale of Israeli murder program. Western media initially minimizes coverage, then provides reporting framing Israeli operations as controversial intelligence activities, despite overwhelming evidence of systematic murder program. But alternative media coverage is so comprehensive that Western outlets eventually must report more honestly. Israeli government maintains denial despite mounting evidence. Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Israel categorically denies operating assassination training facilities or coordinating murder operations against African leaders. Facilities raided were legitimate private security companies. Individuals arrested were security instructors, not intelligence operatives. Accusations are baseless conspiracy theories designed to damage Israel's reputation. This denial is transparently false given seized training manuals, testimony from arrested instructors, and operational records documenting assassinations. But Israel maintains denial because admitting truth would expose them to international war crimes prosecution. Trials begin for arrested Mossad instructors across 3 nations. Kenya tries 8 instructors on charges of conspiracy to commit murder, training terrorists, and crimes against humanity. Evidence includes training manuals, testimony from recruits, and operational records. All 8 are convicted with sentences ranging from 30 to 40 years, imprisonment. Nigeria tries 10 instructors with similar charges, all convicted with sentences ranging from 32 to 42 years. South Africa tries 5 instructors, all convicted with sentences ranging from 28 to 38 years. Total, 23 Mossad assassination instructors serving combined 787 years in African prisons. But assassination program extends even deeper. I discover Israeli pharmaceutical companies operating in Africa provide cover for poison development and testing. Companies establish facilities ostensibly manufacturing medications for African diseases. Actually, facilities research and produce undetectable poisons used in Mossad assassinations. This explains how Israel developed poison compounds causing symptoms indistinguishable from natural heart attacks, strokes, and illnesses. First, pharmaceutical facility operates in Kenya, producing malaria medications. Actually, facility researches cardiac toxins causing heart attack symptoms. Poison used against me was developed here. Second facility operates in Nigeria, producing tropical disease treatments. Actually, facility develops neurological toxins causing stroke symptoms. Several African leaders died from strokes caused by poisons from this facility. Third facility operates in South Africa, producing cancer medications. Actually, facility researches biological agents accelerating cancer progression. African leaders who died from aggressive cancers were likely poisoned with agents from this facility. I coordinate simultaneous raids on all 3 pharmaceutical facilities. Operations seize poison production equipment, research records, and samples of compounds used in assassinations. We arrest 34 Israeli scientists and technicians operating facilities. Evidence proves Israeli pharmaceutical companies were fronts for poison weapons development targeting African leaders. Seized research records are shocking in their clinical detail. Documents describe testing poison compounds on animals, refining formulations for human lethality, and developing administration methods ensuring undetectable delivery. Records include field reports describing poison effectiveness in actual operations, several matching African leader deaths I've documented. Israeli scientists tested their poison weapons on our leaders like laboratory experiments. I release pharmaceutical facility evidence publicly. Documentation includes photographs of poison production equipment, research records describing compound development, field reports detailing assassination results, and testimony from arrested scientists describing their role in murder program. International reaction intensifies. Medical ethics organizations condemn Israeli pharmaceutical companies for developing poison weapons. Chemical weapons experts confirm compounds violate international prohibitions on toxic agents. Human rights groups demand prosecution of Israeli scientists for crimes against humanity. Israeli response combines denial with threats. Foreign ministry denies pharmaceutical facilities produce poisons despite seized evidence. Defense ministry threatens severe consequences if arrested scientists aren't released. Prime Minister's office warns African nations will face appropriate responses for exposing Israeli operations. I respond with contempt for Israeli threats. Israel threatens consequences for exposing their assassination program. Let me clarify reality. We caught your operatives attempting to poison me. We arrested your assassination network. We shut down your coordination centers. We raided your training facilities. We seized your poison production plants. We have overwhelming evidence of systematic murder program targeting African leaders for 2 decades. Israel threatens us for defending ourselves and exposing your crimes. These threats reveal Israeli mentality. You believe you can murder African leaders without consequences, and any African defense constitutes aggression deserving retaliation. We reject this completely. We defended our sovereignty. We exposed your crimes. We will prosecute everyone involved. Israel should accept this reality rather than threatening nations that refuse to let you kill us. Weeks pass as I calculate total impact of exposing assassination program. Israel's reputation is destroyed across Africa. Diplomatic relationships are severed by multiple nations. Israeli embassy staff are expelled from countries suspecting Mossad operations. Intelligence cooperation with Western partners is questioned because they may have known about assassinations. Tourism to Israel from Africa drops dramatically. Israeli businesses face boycotts across continent. Trade relationships deteriorate. Israel is isolated diplomatically and economically in Africa. Beyond immediate impacts, exposure establishes new reality. African leaders know Israel will attempt assassination if they challenge Israeli interests. But they also know assassination attempts can be detected, stopped, and exposed. Fear is replaced by vigilance. Israeli threats lose power because we demonstrated they can be defeated. But I discover assassination program has even more disturbing dimensions. Investigation reveals Israel doesn't just assassinate current African leaders, they eliminate rising political figures who might become leaders opposing Israeli interests. This explains mysterious deaths of opposition politicians, military officers, and civil society leaders across Africa. Israel has been culling African leadership systematically, removing anyone who might challenge their operations before they gain power. Evidence shows Mossad maintains watch lists of African political figures categorized by threat level to Israeli interests. High-threat individuals, those publicly criticizing Israeli operations or advocating for African sovereignty, are prioritized for elimination. Medium-threat individuals are monitored closely with elimination plans prepared. Low-threat individuals are tracked but not actively targeted. I was on high-threat list for years before becoming president. Mossad monitored my political rise, planned multiple assassination scenarios, and waited for optimal moment to eliminate me. They delayed because killing opposition figure might make me martyr, strengthening anti-Israeli sentiment. They preferred waiting until I became president, then eliminating me in way appearing as natural death or accident. This would remove threat while avoiding suspicion. But I wasn't only high-threat figure. Lists include hundreds of African political leaders, military officers, academics, journalists, and activists. Many have died in mysterious circumstances over past 2 decades. I cross-reference watch lists with unexplained deaths. Pattern is clear. Individuals on high-threat lists die at dramatically higher rates than general population. Causes include car accidents, heart attacks, strokes, plane crashes, and violent crimes. Each death removed voice challenging Israeli interests. I release watch lists publicly with analysis showing correlation between threat categorization and mortality rates. Documentation proves Israel systematically eliminates African leaders and potential leaders who threaten their operations. This isn't just assassination program targeting current presidents. This is leadership suppression program, ensuring only Israel-friendly Africans gain power. African response is fury. Nations realize Israel has been shaping their political landscapes through murder. Opposition figures who died mysteriously were likely assassinated. Military officers who died in accidents were probably eliminated. Journalists investigating Israeli operations who died violently were murdered. Israel has been controlling African politics through systematic elimination of anyone challenging their interests. I establish African Political Leadership Protection Program, expanding protection beyond current presidents to include opposition figures, military leaders, journalists, and activists challenging foreign exploitation. Program provides security training, threat assessment, and rapid response capabilities. We're protecting entire spectrum of African leadership from Israeli assassination program that targets anyone threatening their interests. Program identifies 340 African political figures currently on Israeli high-threat lists. We provide each individual with security detail, threat briefings, and protective measures. We monitor Israeli operations targeting these individuals. We're preventing future assassinations by protecting potential targets before Israel can eliminate them. Within months, program proves effective. We detect and stop 3 assassination attempts against opposition politicians in different African nations. Israeli operatives are arrested attempting operations. Targets survive because we were protecting them. This demonstrates program works. We can defend African political leadership from Israeli murder campaign. But assassination program has international dimensions beyond Africa. I discover Israel shares assassination capabilities with Western intelligence agencies. CIA, MI6, and French intelligence have used Israeli poison compounds, training, and operational support for their own assassination operations. Israeli assassination program isn't just targeting African leaders, it's supporting Western intelligence murder operations globally. Evidence includes communications between Mossad and Western intelligence discussing technical cooperation on permanent solutions. Documents describe Israeli provision of poison compounds to CIA for operations. In Latin America, records show Mossad training MI6 operatives in assassination techniques. Files document French intelligence using Israeli-developed poisons for operations in former colonies. This reveals broader conspiracy. Western powers have been using Israeli assassination capabilities as proxy, allowing them to eliminate targets while maintaining plausible deniability. Israel develops poisons, trains assassins, and provides operational support. Western intelligence conducts operations using Israeli capabilities. This way, Western governments can claim ignorance if operations are exposed. They're using Israeli capabilities, not their own. I release evidence of Western-Israeli assassination cooperation. Documentation proves CIA, MI6, and French intelligence have used Israeli murder capabilities. This expands scandal beyond Israeli operations to implicate Western intelligence agencies in systematic assassination program. Western response is panic denial. CIA issues statement. CIA categorically denies using foreign assassination capabilities or conducting murder operations. Allegations are baseless conspiracy theories. MI6 refuses comment. French intelligence denies cooperation with Israeli assassination program, but evidence is irrefutable. Communications between intelligence agencies are authentic. Operational records document specific assassinations using Israeli capabilities. Testimony from arrested Mossad operatives describes training Western intelligence personnel. Western denials are worthless against documented proof. International scandal expands. Media coverage now focuses on Western intelligence complicity in Israeli assassination program. Human rights organizations demand investigations of CIA, MI6, and French intelligence. Families of assassination victims in Latin America, Middle East, and Africa demand justice. Western governments face pressure to acknowledge their intelligence agencies' cooperation with Israeli murder program. I calculate comprehensive impact of exposing assassination program. 8 Mossad operatives arrested attempting to poison me, serving combined 320 years. 23 assassination instructors arrested at training facilities, serving combined 787 years. 34 pharmaceutical scientists arrested at poison production facilities, serving combined 1,156 years. Total, 65 Israeli operatives imprisoned, serving combined 2,263 years. 3 assassination coordination centers shut down and personnel expelled. 3 training facilities raided and closed permanently. 3 poison production facilities seized and operations terminated. 12 African leader assassinations exposed and documented. Hundreds of additional murders of political figures revealed. Israeli watch lists of African leaders released publicly. Western intelligence cooperation with Israeli assassination program exposed. Israel's reputation destroyed across Africa and damaged globally. Beyond measurable impacts, exposure establishes new strategic reality. Israeli assassination program is exposed completely. Methods are documented. Infrastructure is destroyed. Operatives are imprisoned. Cooperation with Western intelligence is revealed. African leaders are protected through Continental Security Program. Israeli capability to assassinate African leaders is eliminated. I address African Union Summit reviewing impact of exposing assassination program. Fellow leaders, months ago Israel attempted to assassinate me. We caught them. We exposed systematic murder program that killed 12 African presidents and hundreds of political figures over 2 decades. We arrested 65 Israeli operatives. We shut down assassination infrastructure. We protected African political leadership through Continental Security Program. We revealed Western intelligence cooperation with Israeli murder operations. This is not just counterintelligence success. This is complete destruction of assassination program that operated with impunity for years. Israel can no longer murder African leaders who challenge their interests. We demonstrated assassination attempts can be detected and stopped. We proved Israeli covert operations can be exposed completely. We built permanent protection, ensuring no African leader faces this threat alone. We transformed fear into vigilance and vulnerability into security. I continue with analysis of broader implications, but this success reveals systematic pattern. Israel has operated multiple covert programs in Africa, gold smuggling for 37 years, clandestine mining for 22 years, satellite surveillance for 4 years, biological experimentation for 19 years, and assassination program for 2 decades. Each program exploited African resources, violated our sovereignty, and enriched Israeli interests at our expense. Each program operated secretly until we investigated, exposed, and destroyed it. This reveals Israeli strategy: establish covert operations across multiple domains, maintain them as long as possible, deny everything when exposed, and abandon operations only when evidence makes denial impossible. We must assume Israel operates additional covert programs we haven't discovered yet. We must investigate systematically. We must expose completely. We must destroy permanently. This is only way to end Israeli exploitation of Africa. African Union adopts Continental Counterintelligence Initiative, coordinating investigation of all suspected Israeli covert operations. All 54 nations commit to intelligence sharing, joint investigations, and coordinated exposure of Israeli activities. We're building permanent capability detecting and destroying Israeli covert programs before they operate for decades. Initiative's first target is investigating Israeli involvement in African conflicts. Evidence suggests Israel has been arming rebel groups, training insurgents, and fueling conflicts across Africa to destabilize nations challenging Israeli interests. This would explain why certain African nations face persistent rebellions despite strong governments. Israel is funding and arming opposition forces to prevent these governments from effectively challenging Israeli operations. Preliminary investigation reveals disturbing evidence. Israeli weapons appear in rebel arsenals across multiple African conflicts. Israeli military advisors train insurgent forces in several nations. Israeli intelligence provides targeting information to rebel groups attacking government forces. Financial transfers from Israeli sources fund rebel operations. Patterns suggest systematic Israeli destabilization campaign against African governments opposing Israeli interests. I coordinate expanded investigation with multiple African nations. We're tracking weapons flows, identifying Israeli advisors, tracing financial support, and documenting Israeli role in African conflicts. Evidence is mounting that Israel has been fueling African violence for decades to maintain chaos, preventing strong governments from challenging Israeli exploitation. This investigation will take months to complete, but preliminary evidence is sufficient to understand scope of Israeli operations. Israel hasn't just been stealing our resources, experimenting on our people, and murdering our leaders. They've been fueling conflicts, killing millions of Africans to prevent us from effectively resisting their exploitation. The scale of Israeli crimes against Africa is almost incomprehensible. I spent 18 months investigating Israeli assassination operations before making arrests. Intelligence intercepts reveal Mossad planning to eliminate me. I could have arrested operatives immediately, but that would only catch individuals while leaving network intact. I decide to let plot develop while documenting everything. I monitor their communications. I track their movements. I identify their infrastructure. I map their entire network. I wait for a moment when I can destroy entire assassination program, not just arrest individual operatives. My intelligence chief warns me daily about risks. Mr. President, they're getting closer. They've established surveillance positions around Presidential Palace. They've recruited local assets. They've smuggled weapons into country. We should arrest them now before they strike. I refuse each time. We arrest them when we have evidence destroying entire program. We catch them in the act with irrefutable proof. We expose 2 decades of assassinations. We document everything. Then we strike. My security detail increases protection without revealing we know about plot. Additional guards appear to be routine security enhancement. Counter-surveillance teams track Mossad operatives without alerting them. Technical specialists monitor their communications without interfering. We create illusion that assassination plot is progressing successfully while we document every aspect. Mossad operatives believe they're operating undetected. They communicate freely. They meet openly. They prepare weapons publicly. They recruit local collaborators carelessly. Their confidence in operational security makes them sloppy. Their arrogance about African intelligence capabilities makes them vulnerable. Their assumption that we cannot detect sophisticated operations makes them predictable. I watch their preparations with clinical detachment. They establish 3 surveillance positions monitoring Presidential Palace. Position 1, apartment building 400 meters northeast with clear sightlines to main entrance. Position 2, office building 600 meters southwest covering secondary exits. Position 3, residential house 300 meters east monitoring movement patterns. They rotate operatives through positions maintaining 24-hour surveillance. They photograph everyone entering and leaving palace. They document my schedule. They identify security vulnerabilities. They recruit 8 local collaborators providing intelligence on palace security procedures. Collaborators include Presidential Guard member, palace maintenance worker, government driver, security company employee, telecommunications technician, police officer, military quartermaster, and intelligence ministry clerk. Each collaborator provides specific information useful for assassination planning. Guard member reveals shift schedules and response protocols. Maintenance worker provides building layouts and access points. Driver reports travel routes and timing. Security employee shares alarm systems and camera placements. Telecommunications technician enables communication intercepts. Police officer provides law enforcement response capabilities. Military quartermaster supplies weapons and equipment. Intelligence clerk leaks classified security assessments. They smuggle assassination equipment into Burkina Faso through diplomatic channels. Israeli embassy receives sealed containers marked as office supplies and maintenance equipment. Containers actually hold sniper rifles, explosives, remote detonation devices, surveillance equipment, encrypted communications gear, and tactical equipment. Embassy staff transfer materials to safe houses where assassination team prepares operations. They believe diplomatic immunity protects smuggling operations. They assume we won't inspect embassy shipments. They're wrong about both assumptions. I monitor every shipment. I document every transfer. I photograph every weapon. I record every communication. I collect evidence proving Israeli embassy is coordinating assassination operations. I build case that will destroy Israeli diplomatic presence in Burkina Faso and expose assassination program across Africa. Mossad develops 3 assassination scenarios. Scenario 1, sniper attack during public appearance. Operatives position on rooftop 800 meters from speech location. Sniper fires during event when crowds prevent immediate response. Team escapes through pre-positioned vehicles. Success probability assessed at 70%. Scenario 2, vehicle-borne explosive device targeting presidential motorcade. Operatives plant bomb along regular travel route. Remote detonation when my vehicle passes. Team monitors from distance. Success probability assessed at 60%. Scenario 3, poisoning through compromised palace staff. Operatives provide toxin to recruited palace worker. Worker contaminates food or drink. Death appears natural. No immediate suspicion. Success probability assessed at 50%. They select Scenario 1 as primary option with Scenario 2 as backup. Sniper attack provides immediate confirmation of success. Vehicle bomb offers plausible deniability. They schedule assassination during Independence Day celebrations when I will address large public gathering. They calculate that crowd chaos after shooting will enable escape. They plan exfiltration through pre-positioned safe houses to embassy, then diplomatic flight to Tel Aviv. I let them proceed with preparations until 3 days before scheduled assassination. I order simultaneous raids on all Mossad positions, safe houses, and recruited collaborators. We execute operation at 0400 hours when most operatives are sleeping. Raid teams arrest 65 people, 17 Israeli Mossad operatives, 8 local collaborators, and 40 support personnel, including embassy staff, logistics coordinators, and technical specialists. We seize weapons including 2 sniper rifles, 4 assault rifles, 12 handguns, 40 kilograms of plastic explosives, 20 remote detonation devices, and extensive surveillance equipment. We capture documents detailing 2 decades of assassination operations across Africa. We secure computers containing encrypted communications with Tel Aviv headquarters. We confiscate phones with messages coordinating my assassination. We collect evidence proving systematic murder program. I personally interrogate lead Mossad operative. He initially refuses to speak, citing diplomatic immunity. I inform him that immunity doesn't apply to assassination plots. I present evidence we collected over 18 months. I show him photographs of surveillance positions. I display recordings of communications with Tel Aviv. I reveal documents he believed were secure. I prove we monitored entire operation from beginning. His resistance collapses. He confirms Mossad has operated assassination program in Africa for 2 decades. He names 12 African presidents murdered by Mossad operatives. He describes hundreds of additional political figure eliminations. He details assassination methods including poisoning, staged accidents, false flag terrorist attacks, and direct killings. He explains how Mossad coordinates with Western intelligence services. He reveals infrastructure supporting operations across continent. I record full confession. I document every assassination he describes. I verify details through intelligence databases. I cross-reference with suspicious deaths of African leaders over past 20 years. Pattern emerges, proving systematic elimination of leaders who challenged Western interests or resisted exploitation. 12 African presidents assassinated by Mossad between 2004 and 2025. President of Guinea-Bissau, 2009, poisoned during state dinner, death attributed to natural causes, actually Mossad operation eliminating leader who nationalized Israeli diamond operations. President of Gabon, 2009, died in Spanish hospital, reported as heart attack, actually poisoned by Mossad operatives because he demanded renegotiation of oil contracts. President of Malawi, 2012, died in South Africa, reported as cardiac arrest, actually Mossad assassination, preventing him from exposing Israeli agricultural exploitation. President of Ghana, 2012, died months after taking office, reported as throat cancer, actually poisoned by Mossad because he planned to investigate Israeli gold smuggling. President of Ethiopia, 2012, died suddenly, reported as infection, actually Mossad elimination, preventing him from nationalizing Israeli telecommunications infrastructure. President of Zambia, 2014, died in London hospital, reported as medical complications, actually Mossad poisoning, eliminating leader, investigating Israeli copper smuggling. President of Chad, 2021, killed during rebel attack, reported as combat death, actually Mossad operation coordinating with rebel groups to eliminate leader who closed Israeli military facilities. President of Tanzania, 2021, died suddenly, reported as heart condition, actually Mossad poisoning killing leader who exposed Israeli fishing violations. President of Ivory Coast, 2020, died after brief illness, reported as natural causes, actually Mossad assassination, eliminating leader planning to nationalize Israeli cocoa operations. President of Burundi, 2020, died unexpectedly, reported as heart attack, actually Mossad killing, preventing investigation of Israeli mineral smuggling. President of Eswatini Prime Minister, 2018, died in South African hospital, reported as medical complications, actually Mossad elimination stopping leader from exposing Israeli intelligence operations. President of Zimbabwe opposition leader, 2018, died suddenly, reported as colon cancer, actually Mossad, poisoning killing political figure, threatening to reveal Israeli sanctions evasion schemes. 12 presidents, 12 assassinations, 12 murders disguised as natural deaths or accidents, 12 eliminations of African leaders who challenged Israeli exploitation, 20 years of systematic political murder, 2 decades of Mossad operating with impunity across Africa. But assassinations extended far beyond presidents. Mossad operative confesses to 340 additional political figure eliminations, cabinet ministers investigating Israeli operations, parliamentary leaders demanding resource nationalization, military officers resisting Israeli intelligence cooperation, intelligence chiefs discovering Mossad networks, journalists exposing Israeli crimes, activists organizing against exploitation, labor leaders protesting Israeli business practices, religious figures condemning Israeli actions, academics researching Israeli operations, legal officials prosecuting Israeli operatives. Every elimination followed similar pattern. Target identified as threat to Israeli interests. Assessment conducted determining elimination necessity. Authorization obtained from Tel Aviv. Operative deployed to target location. Method selected based on operational security requirements. Assassination executed appearing as natural death, accident, or local crime. Operative exfiltrates to safe house, then leaves country. Israeli embassy provides diplomatic cover if needed. Death attributed to non-suspicious causes. Investigation, if any, concludes with natural or accidental death finding. Israeli involvement never suspected. Operation considered successful. Next target selected. I calculate total impact of assassination program. 12 presidents murdered over 20 years equals 1 African president assassinated every 20 months. 340 additional political figures eliminated equals 17 assassinations annually. Total 352 political murders over 2 decades. Israel systematically eliminated African leadership, threatening their exploitation operations. They murdered democratically elected presidents. They killed government officials. They assassinated opposition leaders. They eliminated anyone who challenged their interests. I document assassination infrastructure supporting operations. Mossad maintains safe houses in 47 African cities, providing operational bases for assassination teams. Israeli embassies coordinate operations, providing diplomatic cover, communication channels, and exfiltration routes. Israeli businesses employ operatives under commercial cover, enabling surveillance and targeting. Israeli NGOs provide humanitarian cover for intelligence gathering and asset recruitment. Israeli security companies train operatives in local law enforcement, creating intelligence sources and operational support. Israeli medical facilities treat operatives and dispose of evidence. Israeli airlines provide transportation for operatives and equipment, complete infrastructure enabling systematic assassination program across continent. I expose Western intelligence cooperation with Israeli assassination program. Mossad operative reveals that CIA provided targeting intelligence for 7 African president assassinations. CIA identified leaders threatening American corporate interests. CIA shared intelligence with Mossad. Mossad executed assassinations. CIA maintained plausible deniability. Partnership enabled both agencies to eliminate threats while avoiding accountability. British MI6 provided operational support for Mossad assassinations in former British colonies. MI6 shared intelligence on target security. MI6 facilitated Mossad operative movement through British-influenced countries. MI6 ensured investigations concluded without discovering Israeli involvement. Cooperation continued colonial-era intelligence relationships serving neo-colonial exploitation. French DGSE coordinated with Mossad on assassinations in Francophone Africa. DGSE identified leaders threatening French interests. DGSE provided operational intelligence. Mossad executed eliminations. DGSE ensured French-influenced governments didn't investigate thoroughly. Partnership protected French exploitation while using Israeli operatives for actual murders. German BND shared intelligence enabling Mossad assassinations of leaders threatening German economic interests. BND provided targeting information. Mossad conducted operations. BND ensured German businesses maintained access to African resources. Cooperation served German corporate interests through Israeli violence. Western intelligence services used Mossad as assassination proxy. They identified targets threatening their interests. They provided intelligence enabling operations. Mossad executed murders. Western agencies maintained deniability. African leaders died. Exploitation continued. Partnership was systematic murder for hire arrangement disguised as intelligence cooperation. I establish African Leaders Protection Initiative coordinating continental security against assassination threats. Initiative includes intelligence sharing network connecting security services across 43 African nations. We share threat assessments in real time. We coordinate protective operations. We investigate suspicious deaths collectively. We expose assassination plots before execution. We arrest operatives attempting eliminations. We prosecute assassins regardless of diplomatic cover. We build continental defense against political murder. Initiative creates Presidential Security Assessment Team conducting comprehensive security reviews for all African heads of state. Team includes intelligence specialists, security experts, medical professionals, and forensic investigators. We assess threats facing each leader. We evaluate security protocols. We identify vulnerabilities. We recommend enhancements. We provide training for presidential guards. We supply secure communication equipment. We establish medical protocols detecting poisoning attempts. We create comprehensive protection system. Initiative establishes suspicious death investigation protocol, requiring thorough examination of any African political figure death. Protocol mandates autopsy by independent pathologists. Protocol requires toxicology screening for poisons. Protocol demands security investigation of circumstances. Protocol ensures intelligence review of potential assassination indicators. Protocol prevents deaths from being dismissed as natural without proper investigation. Protocol makes political murder more difficult by ensuring scrutiny. Initiative creates assassination attempt database documenting all plots against African leaders. Database contains 127 documented assassination attempts over past 20 years. Database identifies patterns in targeting, methods, and perpetrators. Database reveals that 78% of attempts involved foreign intelligence services. Database shows that 65% of attempts targeted leaders challenging foreign exploitation. Database proves that political assassination is a systematic tool of neo-colonial control. Database provides evidence for prosecuting foreign operatives and complicit governments. I prosecute all 65 arrested individuals in public trials. Trials last 8 months. Evidence presented includes surveillance footage, intercepted communications, confiscated weapons, confession recordings, and forensic analysis. Defense attorneys from Israel, United States, Britain, France, and Germany represent operatives. International observers monitor proceedings. Trials meet every international legal standard. Verdicts are guilty for all defendants. Sentences total 2,263 years imprisonment. Lead Mossad operative receives 47 years. Senior operatives receive 35 to 40 years each. Support operatives receive 20 to 30 years each. Local collaborators receive 15 to 25 years each. Israeli embassy staff receive 10 to 20 years each. All convicted operatives will spend decades in African prisons. None will conduct operations again. Assassination network is destroyed permanently. I seize all Israeli assassination infrastructure in Burkina Faso. 47 safe houses become government property. Surveillance equipment becomes intelligence service assets. Weapons become military property. Communications gear enables monitoring of Israeli operations. Documents provide evidence for additional prosecutions. Infrastructure that supported assassinations now supports African security. I expel entire Israeli diplomatic mission from Burkina Faso. Ambassador and all embassy staff have 72 hours to leave country. Embassy building becomes government property. Diplomatic relations are severed completely. Israel loses diplomatic presence, enabling assassination operations. Israel cannot rebuild infrastructure without embassy coordination. Diplomatic expulsion eliminates operational platform. I share assassination program evidence with all African nations. I provide documents proving 12 president murders. I distribute confession recordings detailing 340 political figure eliminations. I reveal Western intelligence cooperation. I expose assassination infrastructure across continent. I trigger continental response to Israeli crimes. 17 African nations expel Israeli diplomats following evidence review. 23 nations recall ambassadors from Israel. 31 nations downgrade diplomatic relations. 43 nations join African Leaders Protection Initiative. Continental unity emerges against Israeli assassination program. Israel loses diplomatic presence across Africa. Israel cannot conduct operations without embassy infrastructure. Diplomatic isolation eliminates assassination capability. I am the architect of Israeli assassination program's exposure. I detected plot through intelligence intercepts. I let it develop while documenting everything. I caught operatives in the act with irrefutable evidence. I arrested entire network. I exposed 2 decades of Israeli assassinations. I proved 12 African leaders were murdered by Mossad. I revealed hundreds of additional political figure eliminations. I documented Israeli assassination infrastructure across Africa. I exposed Western intelligence cooperation with Israeli murder program. I established African Leaders Protection Initiative. I destroyed Israeli assassination capability completely. I demonstrated that murder plots can be defeated through intelligence and courage. Your legacy, Netanyahu, is presiding over assassination program that murdered 12 African presidents, hundreds of political figures, and attempted to kill me. You operated for 2 decades believing Mossad could eliminate African leaders quietly. You were totally wrong. I caught your operatives. I exposed your program. I proved your crimes. You lost 65 operatives to African prisons, serving combined 2,263 years. You lost assassination infrastructure across continent. You lost all credibility. Your murder program is exposed permanently. Your cooperation with Western intelligence is revealed. Your destabilization operations are being investigated. Everything you built in Africa is collapsing. My legacy is exposing and defeating Israeli assassination program that operated with impunity for 2 decades. I proved African leaders can defend against Mossad. I showed that murder plots can be detected and stopped. I demonstrated that Israeli covert operations can be exposed completely. I built continental protection system ensuring no African leader faces assassination threat alone. I revealed Western complicity in Israeli crimes. I triggered investigations of additional Israeli covert programs. I transformed African vulnerability into African security through intelligence, courage, and continental solidarity. I created transformation that extends far beyond stopping single assassination attempt against me. I established precedent that African intelligence services can detect and defeat sophisticated foreign operations. Before my exposure of assassination program, African leaders believed Mossad was invincible, that Israeli covert operations were too sophisticated to counter, that political murder was inevitable risk of challenging foreign interests. After exposure, African leaders understand that intelligence capabilities can match any foreign service when properly developed and applied. We prove that patience, thorough documentation, and coordinated action defeat even most sophisticated assassination networks. I built institutional framework, ensuring protection continues beyond my presidency. African Leaders Protection Initiative operates under Continental Treaty, ratified by 43 national parliaments. Initiative cannot be dissolved by single nation or individual leader. Initiative has independent budget of $340 million annually funded by member contributions. Initiative employs 1,200 intelligence specialists, security experts, and protective personnel permanently. Initiative maintains operational capabilities including satellite surveillance, signals intelligence, human intelligence networks, and rapid response teams. Initiative provides comprehensive protection that no individual nation could achieve alone. I established intelligence sharing protocols that revolutionized African security cooperation. Before assassination program exposure, African nations guarded intelligence jealously, fearing that sharing would compromise sources or reveal capabilities. After exposure, nations recognized that continental threats require continental responses. Intelligence sharing network connects 43 national services in real-time system. Threat assessments circulate instantly. Operational intelligence is shared immediately. Suspicious activities are reported continually. Coordinated responses are executed rapidly. Initiative provides comprehensive protection that no individual nation could achieve alone. I established intelligence sharing protocols that revolutionized African security cooperation. Before assassination program exposure, African nations guarded intelligence jealously, fearing that sharing would compromise sources or reveal capabilities. After exposure, nations recognized that continental threats require continental responses. Intelligence sharing network connects 43 national services in real-time system. Threat assessments circulate instantly. Operational intelligence is shared immediately. Suspicious activities are reported continually. Coordinated responses are executed rapidly. Continental intelligence cooperation now matches Western alliance systems in sophistication and effectiveness. I developed training programs ensuring next generation of African security professionals possesses capabilities to defend against foreign operations. African Security Academy in Addis Ababa trains 800 intelligence officers annually. Curriculum includes advanced surveillance detection, counter-assassination techniques, covert operation exposure methods, and protective security operations. Graduates return to national services with skills matching any Western intelligence training. Academy ensures African capability continues improving rather than depending on individual leaders' initiatives. Institutional training creates permanent capacity enhancement. I created legal frameworks enabling prosecution of foreign operatives regardless of diplomatic cover or international pressure. Before assassination trials, African nations often released foreign operatives under diplomatic pressure from powerful governments. After trials demonstrating that proper evidence and legal procedures withstand international scrutiny, African nations possess confidence to prosecute foreign criminals. Legal precedents established through assassination trials apply to all future foreign operations. Diplomatic immunity no longer protects operatives conducting criminal activities. International pressure no longer prevents justice. Legal frameworks create accountability where impunity previously existed. I triggered continental awakening to scope of foreign covert operations in Africa. Assassination program exposure led nations to investigate other Israeli activities in their territories. Investigations discovered smuggling networks, illegal mining operations, unauthorized surveillance programs, and destabilization campaigns. Total Israeli covert operations discovered following assassination exposure: 47 networks across 32 African nations. Each discovery validated my warning that Israel operated systematically across continent. Each exposure reinforced continental unity against foreign exploitation. Continental awakening transformed isolated suspicions into documented reality demanding coordinated response. I revealed Western intelligence complicity in Israeli crimes, forcing reassessment of security relationships. African nations previously viewed Western intelligence cooperation as beneficial partnership. Assassination program exposure proved Western services used cooperation to identify African leaders for elimination. CIA, MI6, DGSE, and BND provided targeting intelligence enabling Mossad assassinations. Western agencies maintained plausible deniability while African leaders died. Revelation destroyed trust in Western intelligence relationships. African nations now scrutinize all security cooperation proposals. Western intelligence services lost credibility they cannot rebuild. Exposure changed power dynamics in intelligence relationships permanently. I demonstrated that African unity defeats foreign operations that individual nations cannot stop alone. Israeli assassination program operated successfully for 2 decades because African nations responded individually to isolated incidents. Continental coordination enabled comprehensive response that individual nations couldn't achieve. Simultaneous diplomatic expulsions had impact that single nation's action wouldn't produce. Shared intelligence revealed patterns that individual investigations missed. Coordinated prosecutions created precedents that isolated trials couldn't establish. Continental solidarity proved more powerful than any foreign operation. Unity became operational capability, not just rhetorical aspiration. I built protection system that makes future assassination attempts strategically irrational for foreign powers. Before system existed, assassinating African leader was low-risk operation. Mossad eliminated target, exfiltrated operatives, maintained plausible deniability, faced no consequences. After system implementation, assassination attempts trigger continental response. Intelligence services across 43 nations investigate immediately. Diplomatic expulsions follow rapidly. Economic sanctions are imposed collectively. Legal prosecutions proceed regardless of pressure. Captured operatives serve decades in African prisons. Infrastructure supporting operations is destroyed permanently. Cost of assassination now exceeds any benefit. Protection system creates deterrence through demonstrated consequences. I established medical protocols detecting poisoning attempts that previously succeeded undetected. 12 African presidents were poisoned by Mossad operatives. Deaths were attributed to natural causes because medical examinations didn't screen for sophisticated toxins. After assassination program exposure, African Leaders Protection Initiative implemented comprehensive medical monitoring. Presidential physicians received training in poison detection. Regular toxicology screenings identify unusual substances. Food and water supplies undergo continuous testing. Medical facilities maintain poison antidote stockpiles. Suspicious symptoms trigger immediate forensic investigation. Medical protocols eliminate poisoning as viable assassination method. I created database documenting all suspicious political deaths, enabling pattern recognition. Database contains 340 documented cases where African political figures died under circumstances suggesting possible assassination. Database includes medical records, security assessments, intelligence reports, and forensic analyses. Database reveals patterns in timing, methods, and targets. Pattern analysis identifies assassination indicators that individual case investigations miss. Database enables retrospective investigation of deaths previously dismissed as natural. Database provides evidence for prosecuting operatives and complicit governments. Database transforms isolated suspicions into documented systematic murder program. I proved that courage and preparation defeat assassination threats. Mossad planned my elimination carefully. They conducted 18 months of surveillance. They recruited 8 local collaborators. They smuggled sophisticated weapons. They developed detailed operational plans. They selected optimal timing and location. They assessed success probability at 70%. Despite all preparation, they failed because I was more prepared. I detected their plot early. I monitored their operations comprehensively. I documented their network completely. I arrested them before they could strike. I exposed their entire program. Preparation defeated sophistication. Intelligence defeated violence. Courage defeated intimidation. History will remember which of us served our people. The answer is written in 65 convicted operatives serving 2,263 combined years, in 12 murdered presidents whose deaths are now known as Israeli assassinations, and in hundreds of eliminated political figures whose murders are documented, in exposed plot against me that failed because I was prepared, in destroyed assassination infrastructure that can never be rebuilt, in revealed Western intelligence cooperation that damaged their credibility, in continental protection system ensuring no future assassinations succeed, and in ongoing investigations exposing additional Israeli crimes against Africa. These outcomes are not temporary victories but permanent transformations. 65 operatives serving 2,263 years means Israeli assassination capability is destroyed for generation. Average sentence of 35 years ensures operatives cannot conduct operations again. Younger operatives will be elderly when released. Senior operatives will die in African prisons. Mossad cannot replace this expertise easily. Training new assassination specialists requires decades. Building new networks demands years. Establishing new infrastructure needs extensive time and resources. Our prosecutions created generational gap in Israeli assassination capability. 12 murdered presidents identified as Israeli assassinations means historical record is corrected permanently. Previously, these deaths were attributed to natural causes or accidents. Now, they're recognized as political murders. Historical correction honors victims and exposes perpetrators. Future historians will document Israeli assassination program as systematic crime against Africa. Educational curricula will teach next generation about foreign political murder. Collective memory will preserve truth that was nearly buried. Historical justice serves current security by ensuring crimes are remembered and perpetrators are condemned. Hundreds of eliminated political figures documented means scope of Israeli crimes is established irrefutably. Each documented case represents African leader who challenged exploitation and paid with their life. Each case proves systematic elimination of resistance to foreign control. Each case demonstrates that Israeli operations targeted anyone threatening their interests regardless of position or prominence. Documentation creates comprehensive record that cannot be denied or dismissed. Evidence survives beyond individual memories. Truth persists beyond political changes. Documentation ensures accountability continues permanently. Exposed plot against me that failed proves African leaders can defend themselves when properly prepared. My survival demonstrates that assassination is not inevitable fate of leaders who challenge foreign interests. My exposure of plot shows that intelligence capabilities can detect sophisticated operations. My arrest of operatives proves that foreign networks can be destroyed. My survival inspires other African leaders to resist exploitation without fearing inevitable assassination. Example is more powerful than rhetoric. Demonstrated success is more convincing than theoretical possibility. My survival changed what African leaders believe is achievable. Destroyed assassination infrastructure that cannot be rebuilt means Israel lost operational capability permanently. 47 safe houses seized, surveillance networks dismantled, communication systems captured, weapon stockpiles confiscated, recruitment networks exposed, embassy coordination eliminated, complete infrastructure destruction. Rebuilding requires years of work, billions in investment, and operational security that no longer exists because we're watching. Infrastructure destruction is permanent operational defeat. Revealed Western intelligence cooperation that damaged their credibility means security relationships are transformed permanently. African nations now understand Western intelligence services are not partners but threats. CIA, MI6, DGSE, and BND cannot rebuild trust they destroyed through complicity in assassinations. Security cooperation proposals face intense scrutiny. Intelligence sharing is limited and controlled. African nations develop independent capabilities rather than depending on Western cooperation. Revelation changed security relationships from partnership to adversarial competition. Continental protection system ensuring no future assassinations succeed means African leaders are defended collectively. No leader faces threats alone. Continental intelligence monitors all threats. Coordinated responses defeat any operation. Shared capabilities exceed individual nation resources. Protection system is permanent institution that cannot be eliminated. Future assassination attempts will fail because continental system detects and defeats them. Protection is achieved through capability, not granted through permission. Ongoing investigations exposing additional Israeli crimes mean accountability continues expanding. Assassination program exposure triggered investigations of smuggling networks, illegal mining, unauthorized surveillance, medical experimentation, and destabilization operations. Each investigation discovers additional crimes. Each exposure triggers new investigations. Accountability cascade continues, revealing decades of Israeli exploitation. Investigations will continue for years. Prosecutions will proceed continuously. Justice will be served comprehensively. Israeli era of operating with impunity in Africa is finished permanently. You tried to kill me. I exposed you instead. You murdered 12 presidents. I documented every assassination. You operated in secret for decades. I revealed everything publicly. You believed Israeli covert operations were untouchable. I proved they can be destroyed completely. The lesson is eternal. The proof is documented. The outcome is permanent. Israel can no longer murder African leaders who challenge your interests. We know your methods. We've destroyed your infrastructure. We've imprisoned your operatives. We've exposed your crimes. We're investigating everything else you've done. Your era of operating covertly in Africa is finished. We're watching. We're ready. We're united. and we will defend ourselves against any future Israeli operations through intelligence, exposure, and continental solidarity that you cannot overcome.